What would you do if your husband suddenly announces that he wanted a divorce in front of his friends? And there I was, standing like an idiot, trying to process what was going on. Crazy, right? I only thought I could hear this kind of scenario on YouTube drama stories. I thought this doesn't happen in real life. But here I was, trying to understand why my husband Sean would do this to me. Hi, I'm Maxine, or call me Max for short, and I'm gonna tell you a story. Dramatic, maybe, but this really happened to me. Sean and I had been married for 4 years. We met at a mutual friend's dinner party 5 years ago. He made me laugh talking about some banking mishap, and I thought he was charming. 4 years of what I thought was a solid, happy marriage. I'm a high school teacher. Sean's a bank executive. We lived in his house, this nice suburban place he bought when he was still single. Cookie-cutter neighborhood, white picket fence, the whole package. I thought we were happy. I never saw any signs. He never came home late, never had those suspicious business trips that you hear about in other stories. Everything seemed normal until Carl's birthday barbecue. Now let me tell you about Carl. He's Sean's best friend since college. Loud, obnoxious, the kind of guy who thinks he's hilarious when he's really just annoying. I never liked him much, but I tolerated him because Sean loved the guy. They were inseparable. So there we were at Carl's backyard barbecue. Maybe 15 people total. Carl's friends, some mutual friends of ours like Sam and his wife Irene, and a bunch of other people. It was a typical Saturday afternoon. Burgers on the grill, cold drinks, people laughing and talking. Then Sean clinked his beer bottle with a fork. Everyone turned to look at him. My stomach dropped immediately because Sean had been drinking, and drunk, Sean says the stupidest things. I was already cringing, preparing myself for whatever embarrassing story he was about to tell. Hey everyone, I just want to say something, Sean said. He raised his beer bottle toward Carl. Happy birthday to my best friend. I love you, man. I'm so grateful to have a friend like you. People cheered. Carl raised his own beer. Everything seemed fine. Then Sean turned to me. And to my wife, Amanda, he said, I want a divorce. The backyard went completely silent. I could hear someone's ice cubes clinking in their glass. A bird chirped somewhere in the distance. My brain couldn't process what he just said. The words didn't make sense together. My wife, divorce, at a birthday party, in front of everyone. I just stood there. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. People were staring at me. Some looked shocked, some looked uncomfortable. Sam's mouth was literally hanging open. What? I finally managed to whisper. I want a divorce, Sean repeated, louder this time, like I hadn't heard him the first time. Tears started running down my face before I even realized I was crying. My hands were shaking. Why? I asked. Who? That's when a woman stepped forward from near the grill. Pretty, blonde, probably late 20s. I'd seen her around at Carl's events before, but never paid much attention. It's me, she said calmly. It's been me. It was me before he even met you. Her name was Erin, Carl's sister. I don't remember leaving Carl's house. I have no memory of walking to my car, getting in, or driving away. It's like my brain just shut down and my body went on autopilot. The next thing I clearly remember is sitting in our driveway, well, Sean's driveway, staring at the house. Our house. The house where I'd lived for 4 years. Where I'd painted the guest room blue. Where I'd planted flowers in the front garden. Where I thought I was building a life. My phone was buzzing. Text after text. I finally looked at the screen. Sam had sent me 5 messages. Max, I'm so sorry. We had no idea he was going to do that. That was messed up on so many levels. Call me if you need anything. Irene wants you to know we're here for you. I turned my phone off and went inside. The house was exactly as I'd left it that morning. My coffee mug was still in the sink. The book I'd been reading was on the coffee table. Everything looked normal, like the entire world hadn't just collapsed. I sat on the couch and waited. I don't know what I was waiting for. Maybe for Sean to come home and tell me it was all a horrible joke. Maybe for someone to wake me up from this nightmare. He came home 3 hours later. I heard his car in the driveway, his keys in the door. He walked in and stopped when he saw me sitting there in the dark. Max, he said, how long? I asked. He sighed and sat down in the armchair across from me. Not next to me on the couch, that told me everything I needed to know. About a year, he said, since Aaron came back to town. The year. 365 days of him lying to me. Every time he said he was going to Carl's house, every time he kissed me goodbye, every time he told me he loved me. I could have screamed, could have thrown things, could have begged him to choose me, to work on our marriage, to go to counseling. But what was the point? He'd already chosen. He chose her over me. He'd been choosing her for a year. I didn't have the energy to fight for a relationship that was already dead. Whatever I said or did wouldn't change the fact that the marriage was obviously over. I wouldn't accept disrespect from anyone, especially from my husband who was supposed to stay loyal in our marriage. He made his choice. That was enough for me to walk away. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked. Why like that? In front of everyone? It was Carl's idea, Sean said, like that made it better. He thought it would be easier if I had people around, so you wouldn't make a scene. I laughed. Actually laughed. It was either that or scream. A scene, I repeated. You were worried I'd make a scene, so you decided to humiliate me in front of 15 people instead? I'm sorry, he said, but his voice was flat, empty. No, you're not, I said. If you were sorry, you wouldn't have done it. We sat there in silence for a long moment. Then Sean cleared his throat. I need you to move out, he said. The house is mine. I bought it before we got married. Of course, he was kicking me out of the only home I'd known for 4 years. When? I asked. As soon as possible, he said. I'll give you a generous alimony. You won't have to worry about money. Money. Like that was what I was worried about. Like he could just throw cash at me and make everything okay. Fine, I said. I got up and walked to our bedroom, my former bedroom, and started packing. Sean didn't follow me. He just sat there in that armchair in the dark. 3 days later, I was living in a motel with 2 suitcases and a storage unit full of the life I'd left behind. Sam called me every day that first week. Irene brought me food because she was worried I wasn't eating. They told me what was happening in Sean's world. Aaron had moved into the house. Sean's other friends had called him out for what he did. Most of them weren't talking to him anymore, but none of that made me feel better. I just felt numb. The divorce went through quickly. No kids, no shared assets. Just a marriage that ended as abruptly as it had been announced. Sean's lawyer sent the papers. I signed them. His generous alimony started showing up in my account every month, like guilt money on a schedule. I used the first payment to put down a deposit on a small apartment across town. 1 bedroom, tiny kitchen, barely any closet space. But it was mine. Sean couldn't take it away from me. That's where I was 6 months after the barbecue. Living alone in my small apartment, going to work every day, teaching algebra to teenagers who had no idea their teacher's life had fallen apart. I thought that was the end of my story. I thought I'd just fade into the background, become one of those sad divorce statistics, maybe eventually move on and forget any of this ever happened. I was wrong. The real story was just beginning. 1. About 10 months after the divorce, I was sitting in my classroom after school, grading papers. Most of the students had gone home, and the building was quiet except for the hum of the air conditioning. There was a knock on my door. Come in, I called, not looking up from the stack of algebra tests in front of me. Hey, Max. I recognized Sam's voice and glanced up. He was standing in the doorway with an uncomfortable expression on his face. Sam, hi, I said, putting down my pen. Did we have a meeting scheduled? I thought we weren't meeting about Jack's college stuff until next week. No, we didn't, Sam said. I wanted to talk to you about something. Do you have a minute? Something in his tone made my stomach tighten. Sure, come in. Sam closed the door behind him and sat in one of the student desks. He looked strange sitting there, this grown man folding himself into furniture meant for teenagers. Is Jack okay? I asked immediately. Jack's fine, Sam assured me. Great, actually. This isn't about him. Okay, I said slowly. Sam rubbed the back of his neck, clearly struggling with how to start. Look, I know you've moved on from everything that happened. You're doing great. You seem happy. And I don't want to bring up the past if you don't want to hear about it. My heart started beating faster. This is about Sean. Yeah, Sam said. It is. I should have told him I didn't want to know, that I'd moved on and whatever was happening in Sean's life wasn't my business anymore. But curiosity got the better of me. "What about him?" I asked. Sam leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "I ran into him last week at the grocery store. He looked rough, Max, really rough, like he hasn't been sleeping, he's lost weight, and when I asked how he was doing, he just kind of fell apart right there in the produce section." I didn't say anything. I just waited. "Erin left him," Sam said. I blinked. "What?" "About 2 months ago," Sam continued. "Her ex-fiancé showed up. The rich guy she left to come back here. Apparently, he wanted her back." "And she just left?" I asked. "Packed her bags and walked out," Sam said. "Sean came home from work one day, and she was gone. She left signed divorce papers on the kitchen table and her wedding ring next to them. Didn't even wait to talk to him in person. Just got in her ex's car and drove away." I sat back in my chair, processing this information. Erin had done to Sean exactly what he'd done to me. No, actually worse. At least Sean had told me to my face that he wanted a divorce. Even if he'd done it in the most humiliating way possible, Erin hadn't even given him that courtesy. "How long were they married?" I asked. "About 6 months," Sam said. "They rushed into it after your divorce was finalized." 6 months. He'd thrown away 4 years with me for 6 months with her. "I'm sorry," I said automatically, then immediately wondered why I was apologizing. "Don't be," Sam said firmly. "He doesn't deserve your sympathy, Max. What he did to you was horrible. I thought you should know, in case you run into him somewhere. He's pretty much a mess right now." "Is he still working at the bank?" I asked. "Barely," Sam said. "From what I heard, he's been calling in sick a lot. I don't think it's going well." We sat in silence for a moment. I didn't know how to feel. Part of me felt vindicated. Karma had finally caught up with Sean. He'd destroyed our marriage for a woman who'd left him the moment something better came along. But another part of me just felt empty. There was no satisfaction in his pain. It didn't undo what he'd done to me. It didn't give me back those 4 years. It didn't erase the humiliation of that barbecue. "How do you feel?" Sam asked gently. "About all this?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I mean, I guess I should feel happy that he's suffering, that he got what he deserved." "But you don't?" "I just feel nothing," I said. "Is that weird?" "No," Sam said. "I think that means you've really moved on, that he doesn't have power over you anymore." Maybe he was right. A year ago, news like this would have destroyed me, or thrilled me. Something. But now I just felt detached, like Sam was telling me about a stranger's problems. "Thanks for telling me," I said. "I appreciate you looking out for me." "Always," Sam said. He stood up and stretched. "Oh, and speaking of looking out for you, Irene wants to know if you're free next Saturday." "Why?" I asked suspiciously. "Jack's birthday party," Sam said. "Nothing big, just a barbecue at our house. He specifically asked us to invite you. You're his godmother. It wouldn't be the same without you." My stomach dropped. "Will Sean be there?" Sam hesitated. "Yeah, he will. I know that's awkward, but Jack really wants you there. And, honestly, Irene wants him to see you. She wants him to see how well you're doing." "I don't know," I said. "Think about it," Sam said. "No pressure. But you should know that you have every right to be there. More right than him, honestly. You're Jack's godmother. You've been in his life since he was born. Sean's just a guy who comes to parties sometimes." After Sam left, I sat alone in my classroom for a long time, thinking. Sean was miserable. His perfect love story with Erin had imploded. He'd lost everything for nothing. And me? I had my cute apartment, my students, my small but solid life that I'd built from scratch. I was happy. Really genuinely happy. Maybe Sam and Irene were right. Maybe Sean needed to see that. Maybe I needed to see him and realize that I was completely, totally fine without him. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of clarity. I'd been thinking about Jack's party all night, about seeing Sean again, about everything that had happened, and I realized something. For 2 years, I'd been making decisions based on what Sean would have wanted, even after the divorce. I'd avoided certain restaurants because they were his favorites. I'd stayed away from mutual friends because I didn't want things to be awkward. I'd been letting him control my life even though he wasn't in it anymore. I was done with that. I got dressed, grabbed my keys, and drove to the salon I'd been going to for years. "Hey Max, Sarah," my usual stylist greeted me. "Your regular trim today?" "No," I said. "I want to cut it all off. A pixie cut." Sarah's eyes widened. "Really? That's a big change. Are you sure?" "I'm sure," I said. "I've wanted to do this for years." And I had. I'd wanted a pixie cut for so long. I'd shown Sean pictures, explained how much easier it would be in the mornings. My long hair was always in a ponytail or bun anyway, because I hated when hair touched my face. But Sean had always shut down the idea immediately. He hated short hair on women. Said it wasn't feminine, so I never did it. But now, nobody could stop me. I should have done this years ago. "Okay then," Sarah said with a smile. "Let's do it." She sectioned off my hair and made the first cut. I watched in the mirror as my long brown hair fell to the floor in chunks. With each snip of the scissors, I felt lighter, freer. When she was done, I stared at my reflection. Short, edgy, completely different from anything I'd ever done before. The cut made my eyes look bigger, my cheekbones more defined. I looked younger, fresher. I cut my hair so short I felt like a rebel. I laughed at myself, saying, "Where have you been all this time?" That's when I realized that I was ready. Ready to move on completely. Ready to stop letting my past ruin me. Ready to see Sean again and feel absolutely nothing. "You look amazing," Sarah said. She was right. I did. I walked out of that salon with my head held high. I went home, looked through my closet, and pulled out clothes I hadn't worn in years. Clothes Sean had never liked. A blue blouse he'd said was too bright. Jeans he'd thought were too casual. I tried them on and smiled. They looked good. I looked good. That evening, I texted Sam, "I'll be at Jack's party. What time should I arrive?" His response came back almost immediately. "You're coming? That's great. Party starts at 2. And Max? Thank you." I set my phone down and looked at myself in the mirror. Short hair, confident smile, 2 years of healing and growth. I could do this. The day of Jack's party arrived faster than I expected. I changed my outfit 5 times that morning. Too dressy, too casual, trying too hard, not trying hard enough. I finally settled on jeans and a soft blue blouse that brought out my eyes. Casual, but put together. Like I hadn't spent an hour deciding what to wear. I stopped by the store and picked up a gift for Jack. A nice watch he'd been eyeing for months. I wrapped it carefully, taking my time with the paper and ribbon. Then I sat in my car outside Sam and Irene's house for 10 minutes, trying to convince myself to go inside. "You can do this," I told myself. "It's just a party, just a few hours. You can handle a few hours." I grabbed Jack's gift and walked to the front door. I rang the doorbell and heard voices and laughter from the backyard. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone inside could probably hear it. Irene opened the door and immediately pulled me into a hug. "You came," she said warmly. "You look absolutely beautiful, Max." "Thanks," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Is he here?" "In the backyard with Sam and a few other people," Irene said quietly. "But don't worry about him. This is about Jack, remember?" I nodded and followed her through the house. I could hear music playing outside, the sound of people talking and laughing. Normal party sounds, nothing scary about it. Except my ex-husband was out there. We stepped onto the back patio and I immediately scanned the yard. There were maybe 15 people scattered around, some teenagers who were probably Jack's friends from school, a few adults I recognized from other events. And there, standing near the grill with Sam, was Sean. He looked different. Thinner, maybe. Tired. His hair was longer than he used to keep it, and he had dark circles under his eyes that I could see even from across the yard. He was holding a beer and nodding at something Sam was saying, but he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Then Jack spotted me. "Aunt Max!" he shouted, jogging over with a huge grin on his face. Aunt Max. He'd been calling me that since he was little, even though I was technically his godmother. It always made me smile. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," I said, handing him the wrapped gift. "You didn't have to get me anything," Jack said, but he was already tearing into the paper like a little kid. When he saw the watch, his eyes lit up. "No way. This is the one I wanted. Thank you so much." He hugged me tight, and for a moment, I forgot about everything else. This was why I came. For Jack. Because he mattered to me, And I wasn't going to let Sean take this relationship away from me too. Go enjoy your party, I said, ruffling his hair. We'll catch up later. Jack ran off to show his friends the watch, and I turned to find Irene watching me with a soft smile. See, that wasn't so bad, she said. That's when I felt it. Someone staring at me. I glanced across the yard and locked eyes with Sean. He'd frozen mid-conversation with Sam. His beer was halfway to his mouth, but he'd stopped moving entirely. He was just staring at me with this expression I couldn't quite read. Shock, maybe, or disbelief. I looked away first. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of seeing me flinch. Come on, Irene said, linking her arm through mine. Let me introduce you to some of Jack's friends. They're all dying to meet the cool teacher. She pulled me toward a group of teenagers, and I let myself relax a little. The kids were easy to talk to. They asked me about my class, about college recommendations, about whether Mr. Peterson was really as strict as everyone said. Normal stuff. Safe stuff. I could feel Sean's eyes on me the entire time, but I didn't look at him. I laughed at the kids' jokes. I complimented someone's college hoodie. I acted like everything was perfectly fine. Because it was fine. I was fine. About 20 minutes later, Sam called everyone over for cake. We all gathered around the picnic table where Irene had set up an impressive display. Candles, decorations, the works. I ended up standing next to one of Jack's friends, a nice kid who'd been in my algebra class last year. Sean was directly across the table from me. There was no avoiding him now. We sang Happy Birthday. Jack blew out the candles. Everyone cheered. Make a speech, Jack, one of his friends yelled. Jack groaned but stood up anyway. Okay, I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming. Thanks to my parents for not completely embarrassing me today. Everyone laughed. And thanks to Aunt Max for being here, Jack continued, smiling at me. You're the best godmother a guy could ask for. My throat tightened. Love you, kid, I said. Love you too, Jack said. I felt rather than saw Sean's reaction. A sort of tension across the table. When I finally glanced at him, he was staring at me again, but this time his expression was different. Sadder. Like he'd just realized something he hadn't known before. Good, I thought. Let him be sad. Let him regret. Irene started cutting the cake and handing out pieces. People broke off into smaller groups again. I found myself near the drinks table, pouring lemonade into a cup when I heard footsteps behind me. Max, Sean's voice. Close. Too close. I turned around slowly. He was standing about 3 feet away, hands shoved in his pockets, looking at me like he didn't know what to say. Hi, I said coolly. You look good, he said. Different. The hair. Thanks, I said, not elaborating. An awkward silence stretched between us. People were laughing and talking all around us, but it felt like we were in our own little bubble of tension. How have you been? Sean asked. Fine. You? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Not great, honestly. I didn't say anything. What was I supposed to say? I'm sorry your affair partner dumped you? That must be so hard for you? I heard about Erin, I said finally. That she left. Sean flinched like I'd slapped him. Yeah. Her ex came back. The one she left for her job. Turns out she never really got over him. That's unfortunate, I said, and I didn't even try to sound sympathetic. Max, Sean started, then stopped. I messed up, I know that now. What I did to you was unforgivable. Yes, it was, I agreed. He blinked, like he'd expected me to argue or soften or something. When I didn't, he continued. I miss you, he said quietly. I miss us. I made a huge mistake, and I don't know how to... Stop, I said firmly. Just stop. Max, please. You don't get to do this, I said, keeping my voice low so others wouldn't hear. You don't get to tell me you miss me. You destroyed our marriage. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You kicked me out of our home. And now that your affair didn't work out, you think you can just apologize? And I'll what? Take you back? I just thought... I don't care what you thought, I interrupted. I'm not your backup plan, Sean. I'm not your safety net. I'm done. His face crumpled. Actually crumpled, like he might cry. Part of me felt bad for about half a second. Then I remembered standing in Carl's backyard while he announced he wanted a divorce. While Erin stepped forward and said it had been her all along. I should go check on Jack, I said, stepping around him. Max, wait. Goodbye, Sean, I said, and walked away. My hands were shaking, but I felt powerful, strong. like I'd just won something important. Irene caught my eye from across the yard and gave me a subtle thumbs up. She'd been watching. She'd seen me stand up to him. I spent the rest of the party talking to Jack's friends, helping Irene clean up, taking group photos, being present. Being okay. Sean left about an hour later. He said something to Sam about not feeling well, but everyone knew why he was really leaving. I watched him go from the corner of my eye and felt absolutely nothing. No sadness, no anger, nothing. He was just a man who used to be my husband. That was all. When the party was winding down and most of the guests had left, Sam pulled me aside. "You did great today," he said. "I'm proud of you." "Thanks," I said. "It was actually easier than I thought it would be." "He looked miserable," Sam said, "and you looked amazing. I think he finally understands what he lost." "Good," I said simply. Irene hugged me goodbye at the door. "Thank you for coming. Jack was so happy you were here." "I was happy to be here," I said, and I meant it. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in over a year. Seeing Sean again hadn't broken me. It hadn't even hurt. If anything, it had shown me just how far I'd come. I'd survived the worst thing I thought could happen to me. I'd rebuilt myself from nothing, and I was doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. I was happy. Well, my friends, that's my story for today. Hope you like it. Thank you for listening. This is Melodic Vengeance. I will see you in the next story.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Don't forget to follow for more content just like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.